Okay, I just want to go over some tips on graphing these on your TI. Now, to graph these on your TI, you're going to graph them as the reciprocal functions. So first thing, of course, as you get your TI on is make sure your mode is set to radians. They are going to graph better in radians. Then you're going to go to y equals. And so like this one is 1 over cosine. So I'm going to do this as 1 divided by, and then I'm going to do parentheses cosine, and then I'm going to give another parenthesis, x plus pi, end parenthesis, end parenthesis. Parentheses are definitely your friend here. Now when you look at this, it's going to come up, this is the standard box that most of you graph in, but you can change your zoom to zoom trig, which is often very helpful. It's going to give you that negative 2 pi to 2 pi look that most of us are used to seeing. Okay. Now the second one, when we come down here to do this one, I'm going to do 2 plus, and then I'm going to do a parenthesis, 1 divided by, parenthesis, sine 2x minus pi, end parenthesis, end parenthesis, end parenthesis. The parentheses, though, are really key. You're going to want to make sure you have plenty of those. So you can see here they've even put in the asymptotes for you. Now on this one you might decide that, well, because the period's smaller, I want to change mine. So remember, you can go to the windows, and I'm going to go instead from, this is negative 2 pi to 2 pi, I'm going to go from negative pi to pi, and I'm going to count by, say, pi over 3. And because I've moved up 2, I'm going to go from negative 2 to 6. I'm going to kind of move it up to go better with my graph itself. And so now we can see that we have a much better look. It's kind of zoomed in. Now you can use the zoom in function, but I find that manually setting it works a little bit better. Now all your same functions work. You can trace on here and kind of go through the points. You can go to second trace and pick stuff like min and max. So like if I wanted to find the maximum here, left side of this maximum, get over to the right side of the maximum, enter, and then enter one more time, and it'll give me the top of this parabola, which we can see is 1, which makes sense because normally it would be from negative 1 to 1, but I've moved up 2, so negative 1 plus 2 gives me 1 as my bottom point. Now it can be fun to come back down here, and I'm going to do 2 plus sine 2x minus pi, and this should fill in the middle. And I find it's really kind of cool to see this happen as I'm trying to learn how, as you're trying to learn how to build this and hand graph them, as you can see how they connect. Now they've already drawn the asymptotes in for you, but if for some reason you needed to draw them in, they're just vertical lines, x equals. Now if we want to graph this in Desmos, the nice thing about this is that this actually, if I can spell, will do the cosecant, secant, and cotangent normally. You can actually also, this one, come up here, come over here to functions, and you can find all the functions here. So there's those, or you can simply type them in. And they will find, you know, the specific points for you so you can do them. I also like this little wrench over here so I can change these. I especially like to set the step here to like pi over 2, so then I'll see these on the x-axis in radians, which makes it easier for me as I'm graphing and I can see them. So as you go between these, this is a really good way to get the visual that goes along with these graphs. You're trying to learn what they look like, how they're built, and how each one gets affected by what it's doing. And I find that just repeatedly graphing all these and looking at them and seeing how each one's graphed and how it affects each one really helps cement it in my head. So I would recommend you play with both this as well as your TI and learn how they're built as you hand graph them yourself on your homework, as you do it on your trig assignment.